Jai Narayani students, today we are going to discuss our topic executive, and in this lecture I will discuss about president, who is the head of the executive organ. We have already discussed about the president when we were discussing legislative, and we saw that president is a part of central legislative authority also, along with Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. President is also a part of legislative, and here president is also the top executive of India. So, in this lecture, I will tell you how the president performs the executive functions in the country. So, first of all, we will study about Article 53. It says that all the executive powers shall vest in the office of president, means all the executive powers will be exercised by the president. But there is also another article, Article 74, which says that there will be a council of minister, and this council of minister will be headed by the prime minister, and the president shall act according to the advice of this council. It means that however the executive powers are lying with the office of the president, but still the president can only act according to the advice of the council, or you can say that indirectly whatever the council and the prime minister says, the president has to do that. Now, in the 42nd amendment, here 44th amendment is mentioned, but I want to tell you about the 42nd amendment. In the 42nd amendment of the constitution, basically an amendment is the change which is made in the constitution of India. So whenever any changes are made in the constitution, an amendment bill is to be passed in the parliament. So in the 42nd amendment, this was decided that all the advices of the council of minister and the prime minister are binding on the president of India. It means that whatever the council of minister or the president or the prime minister says, the president has to do uh, exactly how it was said by them. But in the 44th amendment, the it was means the constitution was again amended, and in the 44th amendment it was decided, it was uh, prescribed that the president can refer the matter back for reconsideration to the council. Means if the president finds something in the advice of the council of minister that there must be a reconsideration, then he can return it back to the council for reconsideration for only one time. Means if again the council recommends the same thing, or after reconsideration the council sends the same proposal to the president, he or she has to abide by it, or you can say he or she has to do according to that advice. Now the executive powers and functions of the president. So when we were studying about the legislative power, we saw that president used to appoint members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Basically, the correct word is nominate members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and also he performed certain tasks like giving assent to the bills which are passed by the houses of the parliament, and in certain cases he has the authority to pass ordinances if there is no session of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha going on. Then these were the legislative power, and we saw that some legislative members are nominated by the president of India. In Rajya Sabha he nominates 12 members. In Lok Sabha he used to nominate 2 members of Anglo-Indian community, which is not the case right now. It has been changed. So when we are discussing the executive powers of the president, we should also see that what are the high executive officials that are appointed by the president of India. So here is a list. You must remember them. First is the CAG, that is the Controller and Auditor General of India. This post is a constitutional post, and this person is authorized to audit all the accounts of the government. So this person, this authority is appointed by the President of India. Very important. Then second is Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners. You very well know that there is an Election Commission of India, which is responsible for conduct of elections of Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Also, many other functions are performed by them, like preparing the electoral roll and all. So the Chief Election Commissioner of India and other election commissioners are appointed by the President of India. These are also performing some kind of executive task, and they are considered executive officials. Now the third one is Attorney General. Attorney General is the first law officer of the country, and he or she will be the advisor of the central government. And we will study further about Attorney General in detail in the upcoming lectures. So here you just know that Attorney General is appointed by the President. Fourth is the UPSC chairman and members. All the Union Public Service Commission members and the chairman of the commission is appointed by the President. And fifth is the member of national commissions. There are national commissions like the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, and for women. And all the members of these commissions are appointed by the President of India. So these are the main appointments that are done by the President with respect to executive tasks. Let us now know about the executive powers regarding emergency, or you can say the emergency powers of the President. So there are three types of emergency. First is the national emergency. The second is state emergency, or it is also called the President's rule. Third is the financial emergency. And as you can see in the slide, Article 352 provides the provisions regarding national emergency, when these can be imposed and what are the other effects of this emergency. Article 356 provides the emergency in a state or president rule, and Article 360 provides for the financial emergency. Now we will discuss in detail about them. So first is national emergency. As you know that under Article 352, if the President is satisfied that there is grave situation wherein the security of the country is threatened on the grounds of wars, external aggression, or armed rebellion. So you must remember these three grounds where the national emergency can be imposed by the President. The first one being the wars, second is external aggression, and third one is armed rebellion. If this kind of situation, any of these three situation occurs, and the President is satisfied that this will threaten the security of the country, then he can proclaim emergency to that effect. President can declare emergency only on the written advice of the cabinet, as mentioned in the Constitution of India. The President has to proclaim this emergency only if the cabinet ministers along with the Prime Minister provide a written advice that this emergency should be declared. Then only the President can declare national emergency. A special majority is required to approve an emergency resolution. After the emergency is declared, this emergency proposal must be there must be a resolution to be approved by the Parliament, and that too with the special majority. And once approved, the emergency shall operate for a maximum period of not more than 6 months. Means if there is requirement of imposing emergency and it is proclaimed, and also the Parliament has approved the resolution for emergency, then a maximum of 6 months can be extended. This emergency can be extended for a maximum of 6 months. What will be the effect of the national emergency? First, that the union government or the Parliament can make any laws in the stateless matters. We already discussed when we were discussing about the legislative powers of the Parliament, that it has authority to make any laws in the matters provided under the union list of the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. But in case of national emergency, the Parliament has also authority to make any laws which are provided regarding the matters which are provided in the state list in the 7th schedule. So these are the situations which make the central legislative authority more powerful with the respect to the, if we are comparing it with the state legislative authority. So this is some provision which you can remember, and if asked in the examination, that provide any one situation where the parliament can make laws in the matters of state list, then you can say that yes, in the cases of national emergency, the parliament gets the authority to make laws in the matters of the state list. Otherwise, in normal situation, the parliament can only pass laws in the matters which are provided in the union list. Second is the central government can give directions to the state government under the conditions of the national emergency. The central government can give directions or guidelines for the state government that how they must deal with the situation. Also, under Article 358 of the Constitution, it is said that Article 19, which provides right to freedom, there are various kinds of freedoms like freedom to speech and expression, freedom to make any organization or community, freedom to collect somewhere peacefully, freedom to move within the territory of India at any part of the country. So these are the certain freedoms which are provided in the Article 19 of the Constitution. But in Article 358, it is mentioned that at the time of national emergency, these freedoms are suspended. So you will not be able to exercise your freedoms under Article 19 at the time of national emergency. Also, under Article 359, it is said that President can suspend all the fundamental rights. The President, there are 6 fundamental rights, as you have studied in the previous classes, and the fundamental rights can be suspended by the President. Now we are talking about the President as executive. So whenever the term president comes, or the power of president and function of president comes, you must be very alert. The article says that president can suspend all the fundamental rights except Article 20 and 21. So these are basically related with the rights of right to life and personal liberty. So these cannot be suspended, but other fundamental rights can be suspended under Article 359 by the president. State emergency, the second type of emergency is a state emergency, and it can be imposed if the state machinery is failed. It means that if the state government is not able to perform its functions and fulfill its duties according to the Constitution, then the president can impose a state emergency, or you can say the president's rule. State government is not performing its functions according to the Constitution, as it is mentioned in the second point in the slide. So the governor has a responsibility to send a report to the president, and the governor can ask the president to impose state emergency. Or even if the governor does not recommend the imposing of state emergency, the president, if he thinks fit that the state emergency must be imposed, the president can go ahead and impose this state emergency or the president's rule in that state. And after that, what will be the effects? The effects will be that all the executive powers of the state are transferred to the president's office. As the state government is not able to function properly, so the state emergency has been imposed, and now all the executive powers of the state government are exercised by the President of India. Now, President can delegate the powers, means the powers of the state government which have been transferred to the president office. The president has authority to delegate these powers. Delegation of powers means to give some rights or powers to the other authorities which are subordinate to one authority. So president here can delegate, or you can say give away some of the powers which are now vested in the president's office with effect to the state emergency to the governor. Now on behalf of the president, the governor takes control of the state, and according to the instructions of the president, the governor has to perform all the executive tasks in that state. Now the third point, C, legislative powers are transferred to the parliament. As the state emergency has been imposed, so state legislative assembly will also not function as earlier, and the powers of the uh, state legislative assembly will also be transferred to the parliament, and now the parliament can make any law, any policy, and frame any rules or regulations in the matters provided in a state list. So you have studied that in case of national emergency and state emergency, the parliament gets the power of the legislative assemblies, and in such situations, the parliament has authority to enact any laws or make any rules with effect to the matters provided under the state list of the seventh schedule of Indian Constitution. The third one is the financial emergency, and it is imposed actually to ensure financial stability. And if there is any financial crisis, uh, luckily this has not been imposed anywhere, anytime in India. There were situations where the financial crisis was there, but it was decided that financial emergency must not be imposed. So, financial emergency has never been imposed in your country. And the effects, if it would have been imposed, then what would have been the effects of this emergency? Generally, according to the constitution, the money bills of the state legislature, even if duly passed, needs the consent of the president. So, if the state assembly of any state passes any money bill, then in the case of financial emergency, if financial emergency is going on, then these money bills need approval of the president. In normal situations, the money bill does not require uh, the approval of president. I'm talking about the money bills of a state legislature. I'm not talking about the money bills of the parliament, because money bills of the parliament always need consent of the president. In fact, the prior consent of president. Without consent of president, any money bill cannot be introduced in Lok Sabha. But here, in the case of financial emergency, even if any state is introducing money bill, or state legislature is introducing any money bill, then even it needs to get the consent of the president. Second is the salaries of the state and central employees can be reduced. Means, uh, in case of financial emergency, if needed, the salaries of all the government employees, whether they are of the central government employee or they are state government employees, the salaries can be reduced to tackle the situation of financial crisis. Third is the salaries of Supreme Court and High Court judges can also be altered to their disadvantage, means their salaries can also be reduced in case of financial emergency. So here comes the end of this lecture. I hope you all are doing good. Revise this once again, hear the lecture twice at least, and if there are any queries, you can ask during the live session. Thank you, students, and Jai Narayan.